and ask our clerk to please call the roll.
Trustee Abbott. Trustee Grusek.
Present.
Trustee Page.
Present.
Trustee Martinez.
Present.
Trustee Blair.
Present.
Trustee Kagan.
Present.
Mayor Cunningham.
Present.
Quorum established.
Thank you very much. If you would please join us in a moment of silence as we dedicate tonight's meeting to the memory and in honor of Deacon Tom Frick, longtime Woodridge neighbor and friend, and actually friend to all. We send our deepest sympathies and condolences to the Frick family, their friends, and Christ the Servant Church and family. Our thoughts are with you all. If you would please join us now in the Pledge of Allegiance being led by our audience this evening.
One nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We do have some recognition items. We have 2 proclamations and a recognition. And the first one is the proclamation for Arbor Day. And Trustee Blair, if you would please read that.
Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees. And whereas this holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. And whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation, the world, and whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. Whereas trees are renewable resource giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. Whereas trees in our village increase property values, enhance economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. Whereas trees are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. And whereas the village of Woodridge is proud to proclaim that this is the 31st year that the village is being recognized as a Tree City USA by the National Arbor Day Foundation and plans to continue its tree planting ways. Now, therefore, Gina Cunningham, Mayor of the Village of Woodridge, DuPage, Will, and Cook Counties, Illinois, do hereby proclaim Friday, April 28th, 2023 as Arbor Day in the Village of Woodridge, and I'll urge all residents to value and care for their trees.
Thank you very much. And Trustee Martinez, the proclamation for Municipal Clerks Week, please.
Whereas the office of the municipal clerk, a time-honored and vital part of local government, exists throughout the world. And whereas the office of the municipal clerk is the oldest amongst public servants. And whereas the office of municipal clerk provides a professional link between the citizens, the local governing bodies, and the agencies of government at other levels. And whereas the municipal clerk serves as the information center on functions of local government and community. And whereas the municipal clerk continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the office of the municipal clerk through participation in educational programs, seminars, workshops, and the annual meetings of their state, province, county, and international professional organizations. And whereas 2023 marks the 24th anniversary of Municipal Clerks Week, and whereas it is appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of the office of the municipal clerk. Now, therefore, Gina Cunningham, Mayor of the Village of Woodridge, DuPage, Will, and Cook Counties of Illinois, by virtue of my office, do hereby declare and proclaim that the week of May 1st through May 7th, 2023, as Municipal Clerk's Office in the Village of Woodridge, and further extend appreciation to our Municipal Clerk, Joseph K. Hennigan, and the Municipal Clerks for the vital services they perform at their exemplary dedication to the communities they represent.
Thank you very much, Trustee Martinez. Those are our proclamations for this evening, and we do have under recognition, we have recognition of Trustee Greg Abbott on behalf of the village. And trustee Abbott, I believe you have some gifts from the village and fellow board members. It is with deep appreciation and gratitude that we thank you for your outstanding dedication and conviction in your service to the village of Woodridge and our residents for the past 12 years. The village has benefited greatly because of your commitment to public service and in helping to move Woodridge forward and to be the best that we can be. Please know that your contributions have made a difference, and we thank you very much, Greg.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
And I know that Al, our administrator, we're going to move to comments from the public, and the first ones are comments that are not related to our agenda this evening, and I believe we do have a comment, please.
Yes, Mayor, we have one, Ms. Jennifer Reifsnyder.
Good evening and welcome, and thank you for waiting again.
No problem. Thanks for hearing
Nope,
me tonight, Mayor.
Keep going.
Oh, Ron.
Yes. And I would ask you to identify yourself by your name and your address.
Absolutely.
Okay, and then I'll give you you'll have 3 minutes to speak, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Can I
You
Mayor.
can
maybe
pick that
request-
microphone up so we can hear you.
Thank you.
My name is Jennifer Reifsnyder. I live at 6823 Woodridge Drive. And I am here to request that you guys consider creating some sort of task force that addresses bicycle and pedestrian access. So I am a very active person. We spend a lot of our time in Boulder, Colorado. And Boulder, I never have to worry about, I ride my bike everywhere or I run everywhere, and I never have to worry about a car intersecting me because there's either a dedicated bike lane or a bike path. We have great paths here, but I have a son who lives on Route 53 directly across the street from a forest preserve. And he has to get in his car to drive to a parking lot to access the path to get there because there's no sidewalks up and down Route 53. Sidewalks aren't necessarily a good answer to that because it's technically not legal for me to ride my bike on a sidewalk, nor is it the safest alternative. We have very wide streets here. I live right on Woodridge Drive. It's a very wide road. There's ample space to create a bike lane. So I just would beg and plead. I don't know if this is the correct place for it. I wasn't sure if it was the planning commission or what. But I would love to be involved in some way in looking at where exactly are our bike lanes, how, and then holding our community accountable. We create a culture where people will stop and check to see, oh, because I'll cross Woodridge Drive to get to the path and people will blast right through the pedestrian, through the parkway, not even looking, because we don't have a culture that makes that accessible. So just really beg and plead that you please look at it and address it. And because I don't want to move to Boulder, I want to stay here. So that's all.
Yes, so thank you very much, and we will be following up with you directly.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you so much. Going to now ask if there are any other members of the public that would like to address the village board with comments that are not related to tonight's agenda. Okay, well, again, we thank you for being here. We'll move right along to comments that are related to the agenda. We'll pause and acknowledge if any written public comments have been received prior to the meeting.
Mayor, not regarding the agenda, but I do have several public comments that were received prior to the meeting that were written in written form that I'd like to read for the record, if I may.
Please.
First is from Scott and Rosemary Kirk regarding the warehouse proposal on Lamont Road. Next involves Robert Patronek, also with respect to the Lamont Road development proposal. Mr. and Mrs. Tarek, also in reference to the Lamont Road development proposal. Stephen Young, also regarding the Lamont Road office warehouse proposal. And then Christine Stefkin regarding the Lamont Road office warehouse proposal. And lastly, Jim Caparelli, a public comment in reference to the Lamont Road proposal. The board has received copies of all these public comments prior to the meeting, and they will be entered into the official public record. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Going to ask now if there are any members of the public here this evening that would like to address the village board on items that do appear on tonight's agenda. Okay, seeing no one, we will go ahead and move on. Normally, we would move on to our omnibus agenda, but I'm going to ask Administrator Stonich to please update us.
Yes, Mayor and Board, this agenda item has been withdrawn due to a Scrivener's error. It should not appear on the agenda. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Under presentations of communication, under the mayor's report, I'm skipping my report this evening. Please do check out our e-news and all of our social media for all the great things going on in Woodridge and opportunities to volunteer. Going to move right along to the administrator's report. Administrator Stonich.
Thank you, Mayor Cunningham. Item A, ordinance 2023-15. It's an ordinance amending ordinance 2001-055 and granting preliminary planned unit development plan and plat of subdivision approval for Farmingdale Village subdivision and granting a map amendment from ORI to A1 and granting certain variations from the zoning code. And again, Farmingdale Village subdivision, M&I Homes of Chicago is the petitioner. Their representatives here this evening in the audience. Should you have any questions? However, Director Clark will be providing a presentation. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening. Okay. So here we are on the site here at 8405 Woodward Avenue. As you can see, the zoning area is ORI. However, that was because in 1989, when the village did a large regional annexation and created the McAdams Regional Plan Unit Development, all of the zoning was ORI, although there are different land uses within it, such as housing. And it was in 2003 when this particular area was granted approval to construct 12 condo buildings, which would have created 184 units, but only 3 have been constructed as of date. And then the back half now is under consideration with a new purchaser for townhomes. Here's how the area looks today. The infrastructure was built as part of the condominium development, but there will be removal of the road system and the infrastructure in order to accommodate the new site plan. What will remain is the access point that is there now that service the condo buildings, which will be shared by the townhomes. Sure you're familiar, but it's a beautiful entrance. Actually, is well vegetated. It's a well done development with the condos, and it will now be complemented with the townhomes. But this is the only access point off of Woodward Avenue. Here's what the site plan will look like with the townhome developments once constructed. Again, here's the main access point that will be shared by the 2 developments. We have here the stormwater ponds that were already established and will be maintained by the new development. In addition, in red, I'm just indicating there's a road system there, Drover Lane, that a part of the original PUD with Gallagher and Henry, they were to remove that section of pavement. This obligation is now going to fall on the new contract purchaser, M&I Homes. We'd like to have that removed mostly because there is no connection needed, but also to address some of the dumping that's been going on and the activity back there. We felt it's best to have it removed as it's no longer needed. The arrow there is just highlighting there's an emergency access point to the commercial development to the south that will remain. And then here in green circles is the guest parking and then the townhome buildings themselves. There'll be 77 townhome units, which the density is still going to be much less than with the original proposal with the condominium buildings. I do want to note the only real significant variation request is that the road system is going to be reduced from a typical 28-foot right-of-way to 25 feet. And that is because this will be a private road system maintained by the Townhome Association. The village will require a dormant SSA to be placed over this area, which will take care of all common area in the event the HOA is to dissolve. The village has a means to then tax the owners for any maintenance that we may have to address. The only major discussion at Plan Commission was the inclusion of a tot lot or bike path connection to the Darien Park that's to the northeast. Initially, when this was a condominium development and the density was going to be much higher, the tot lot was discussed. But with the townhome development, there will be less density as far as less children. And there's already ample kind of open space with a bike path and connection that the discussion led to a bike or a path leading to the Darien Park site. We did reach out to the Darien Park site since the Plan Commission meeting. They indicated to us they do not want a path just to end at their lot, as they have no immediate plans to connect into it or of any sorts. But it is an open conversation that we want to explore as far as what maybe can happen with a bike path or future bike path in that former Drover Lane area, the pavement that will be reduced. So that was the only real conversation. But other than that, the support was recommended for the plan as presented from the Plan Commission. Want to just highlight, there is a large berm there that on the east side there that buffers the Darien single-family homes. We did speak to some residents that approached us after the meeting. They had some concerns about some vegetation that had died. We brought that up with the developer, and they've identified those trees and will replace them. But other than that, the berm will stay as it is, and it's acting as quite a significant screening for those homes to the east. Here is their product. It's going to be a 2-story traditional townhome development. And it's approximately, a selling price of around $550,000 per unit. They will all have 2-car garages. There'll be 4 different floor plans and 3 architectural styles. Here's another style. And another style. I've actually personally visited the Lockport location where these are under construction, and you can see them yourselves. They're very well done. The different in colors helps break up the monotony of townhomes, and I think they did a really job with providing different architecture. Some of the units will offer first floor master plans, and the project once started will take about 3 years to build out. We just wanted to note that the height of this is maxing out at 40 feet. The original PUD allowed a height of over 58 feet when it was the condos. So again, the Plan Commission voted 4-0 to recommend the major amendments and preliminary plan as presented with some conditions. They have to come back for final PUD and subdivision approval. We will require at that time that we get the establishment of the dormant special service area in place. They've agreed to the school and park donation fees, and then compliance with all their codes and previous issues that were outlined in the staff reports. And that concludes my presentation. I can answer any questions.
Thank you so much. Any questions from the board? Thank you very much. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
Going to ask for a motion to approve ordinance 2023-15. If there's no discussion,
So moved.
thank you. And a second, please.
Second.
Any discussion? I'm going to ask one more time. I know we have a first and a second. Okay. Hearing none, if our clerk would please call the roll.
Trustee Page,
Aye.
trustee Martinez.
Aye.
Trustee Blair,
Aye.
trustee Kagan.
Aye.
Trustee Abbott,
Aye.
trustee Krusek.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Next item B, ordinance 2023-16, an ordinance granting a final plat of subdivision approval for Papa subdivision at 3005 71st Street.
Okay, I don't have a formal presentation for this, as this is just a minor plat of subdivision, but it's a large lot there next to the Girl Scouts of America site there. An existing home, and the new lot will create a vacant lot where a home can be built. It'll be a single family home, and the lots will be in compliance with the zoning districts, and the homeowner has complied with all the requests that we have made of them to keep the site cleaned up.
Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Any questions from any board members? Hearing none, I'm going to ask please then for the ordinance approving, I'm going to ask for a motion to approve ordinance 2023-16, please.
So moved.
So I have trustee Martinez and a second by trustee Page. Any discussion on this item? If our clerk would please call the roll.
Trustee Martinez,
Aye.
trustee Blair,
Aye.
trustee Kagan,
Aye.
trustee Abbott,
Aye.
trustee Krusek.
Aye.
Trustee Page.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Next item C, resolution 2023-27. Resolution authorizing the mayor and clerk to execute a certain extension to an agreement for refuse and recycling and landscape waste scavenger service between the Village of Woodridge and Crude Industries for the period of June 1st, 2023 to May 31st, 2024.
Thank you very much. Going to ask for a motion to approve Resolution 2023-27, please.
So moved.
Thank you, trustee Blair. A second.
Second.
Thank you, trustee Krusek. Any discussion on this item? Seeing no one, if our clerk would please call the roll.
Trustee Blair,
Aye.
trustee Kagan,
Aye.
trustee Abbott,
Aye.
trustee Krusek. Aye. Trustee Page,
Aye.
trustee Martinez.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Last item D, ordinance 2023-17, an ordinance amending the annual budget for the Village of Woodridge for the fiscal year commencing January 1st, 2022 through December 31st, 2022.
Going to ask for a motion, please, to approve ordinance 2023-17.
So moved.
Thank you so much. And a second, please.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion on this item? Seeing none, if our clerk would call the roll.
Trustee Kagan,
Aye.
trustee Abbott,
Aye.
trustee Krusek. Aye. Trustee Page,
Aye.
trustee Martinez,
Aye.
trustee Blair.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you all very much. Nothing on the active agenda, nothing under unfinished or new business.
Madam Mayor,
Just
Uh,
yes, please.
for new business, I just want to take this opportunity to give some thanks. As my 12 years on the board comes to an end, I just want to thank all those that have made my experience here so rich and heartfelt and touching. I'll be brief, and I know my colleagues know that's impossible, but first I'd like to thank the staff. One of the things that makes my job so easy and made it really easy for the last 12 years was we have some of the most phenomenal staff that there could ever be. You know, I don't want to name names because I might leave people out, but Chief Cunningham, you are a star. We are so lucky to have you. I always tell residents that, you know, how good our staff is and tell them that we have the best police chief in DuPage County. And I mean that. You are phenomenal. You've done a great job with the department. Thank you so much. Trustee, or Mr. Bethel, your leadership of the Public Works Department is phenomenal. You are an excellent leader of your team. The help that you give the board is unmeasurable. You're an engineer, you know all that stuff. I don't know any of that. And you've always been able to put complex things into plain English so that I could understand it, and it helped me do my job. So thank you. Kimberly, we haven't worked long, but you're an asset. Darren, you're an asset. So I just want to let you know that all the staff has made my life much easier and made my job easier. Also would like to thank my colleagues on the board. You're a phenomenal group to work with. Our board, I always tell friends, our board is what a board should be. It's 7 people that come together, coming with their own backgrounds, their own beliefs, their own thoughts on how government should run. We share those honestly. We share them respectfully. And at the end of the day, we may not always agree, but we always walk away with respect for each other and as friends. So thank you for that. Lastly, I'd like to thank the residents. For 12 years, I've been privileged to represent the residents of this town, and I thank them for giving me that opportunity. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you so much, trustee.
Madam Mayor, may I just say one thing?
Yes, please.
I just want to say one thing about Greg. I've worked with him now for 10 years. Greg and I and a lot of people, we did not always agree. But as he said, we were always respectful of each other. And I always appreciated that Greg would challenge us to consider a different perspective on different items. And that was appreciated because you have to look at all sides. We can always count on Greg to be fiscally responsible and always consider the impact, the financial impact on our residents. That's probably his shining star and what we'll all take away. The community is a better place because of Greg, and he is really going to be missed on this board. Thank you, Greg.
Anyone else?
Madam Mayor, I just want to say that it's going to be very sad not seeing him sitting next to me. Not really, but no, it will be. I've been sitting next to him now for so many years that when I come walking in, I know who's going to be to my left and I have to my right. They should have been reversed. But Greg, I'll miss you.
Thank you.
And I want to take a moment to again thank you, Greg, because as Marianne said, we don't agree on everything that we discuss, but at the end, we learn as we go along and we learn from listening to your input into specific topics that are important to the community. So thank you for making this board what it has been for the last 10 years, and we will miss you. Thank you.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, please.
I'd like to yield the balance of my time over to Mr. Abbott.
Okay, with no further business to discuss this evening. I'm kidding.
So everyone knows Greg and I agree on basically nothing. But we do it respectfully. You challenge me to always be able to defend my ideas. And I hope I do the same for you. So I thank you, and Mike is right. I should be on the left. You should be on the right. And I thank you for the last few years.
Anyone else? Yeah, absolutely. 1 minute, please. No.
I don't participate in any of these kinds of things. Thank you, trustee Martinez. I didn't use the microphone. And when I talk to other people about what it's like being on this board and the respect and the professionalism that I see every time we meet, it's not always the case in other organizations. So I think that at this time, I'd like to say that Greg Abbott was a significant piece of that. So thank you.
Thank you all very much. And again, Greg, thank you for your 12 years of dedicated service.
Madam Mayor, I'm sorry. Al Stonich, you're the best village administrator in DuPage County. I left you out. I said I didn't want to name names because I was going to leave someone out. I left you out. The residents are extremely lucky to have you. And if they only knew all the hard work you put in for them and all the best things that you provide for them, you know, I wish they could know more because you are a phenomenal village administrator and you do incredible work, and I appreciate it, everything you've done. And Peggy too.
So again, with no further business to discuss this evening, I would like to ask for a motion to adjourn this regular board meeting of the village board. Motion,
So moved.
second.
Second.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The time is 7:48 and we are adjourned. The motion carries. Thank you.
You gotta at least look. If you can't do it, you gotta at least look. All right. Good night. Take a cookie with you, right? I'll take one for the road. I'm gonna be sucking this down as I drive home. Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's the first law of, transparency. Brother who lives in Big Rock. Anytime there's stuff.